In 5 minutes, a city turns into hell as a sniper kills, without leaving a trace. The film opens with a spectacular display of fireworks lighting up the city of Baltimore, United States. Most people are celebrating New Year's Eve, but in an instant, what should have been a joyful night turns into a terrifying one when several people are shot by a mysterious sniper whose identity remains unknown. A rookie FBI agent named Eleanor, who happens to be near one of the shooting crime scenes, immediately rushes to an apartment building.
Great.
She stays.
Miller, CST needs a room clear right away.
Upon arriving, Eleanor instructs the residents to turn off their lights and stay away from the windows so the sniper cannot target them. Shortly afterward, police officers at each crime scene begin analyzing the shootings to determine the direction from which the bullets were fired, eventually tracing the shooter's position to an apartment building on Redwood Street, specifically on the 17th floor. While the authorities are monitoring that location, a sudden explosion occurs, triggering a fire on the 17th floor of the Redwood apartment building. Police units immediately head to the site, while Eleanor cleverly asks her colleague to record the people fleeing the building, hoping to capture the killer slipping away among the panicked crowd. SWAT units, police officers, and firefighters are deployed to secure the area and assist the victims.
Let's go! Move in!
While Eleanor is inspecting the explosion scene, she suddenly appears to fall from a great height after leaning on a window frame weakened by the fire. Fortunately, this turns out to be only a hallucination, as Eleanor actually collapses after losing consciousness due to oxygen deprivation. She's quickly helped by a fellow FBI agent named Jack McKenzie, along with a medical crew, who manage to restore her consciousness. Not long after, a senior FBI official named Lamark, who is in charge of the case, arrives at the scene. Lamark reprimands Eleanor for causing the medical team to waste valuable time helping her on the 17th floor, time that could have been used to treat other civilian victims if she had been more careful. Following the incident, Lamark, as the team leader, explains the progress of the investigation, stating that a total of 29 victims were shot and killed, all of them dying at the scene. According to Lamark, the shooter is highly trained, as no shell casings, hair, or fingerprints were found at the crime scenes. Even so, he continues to encourage his subordinates, expressing confidence that they will eventually catch the perpetrator no matter how well he hides his identity.
Not a single stray hair or fingerprint. Mass murderers want to get caught.
We're gonna disappoint him. We find them.
Later, while Eleanor is talking with one of her colleagues, Lamark overhears their conversation, during which Eleanor suggests that the killer murdered his victims without considering them as human beings and without feeling any guilt, indicating clear psychopathic tendencies. Intrigued by Eleanor's analytical ability, Lamark continues the discussion and asks for her thoughts on the case. Eleanor explains that she believes the shooter is driven purely by personal satisfaction and is convinced that sooner or later he will strike again, as he clearly enjoys carrying out the shootings. Long story short, after reintroducing Eleanor to Jack McKenzie, the agent who previously helped her, Lamark invites Eleanor to join his team, believing she possesses exceptionally strong analytical skills. Eleanor is then transferred to the Boston Police Department, which operates in the same area as the FBI office. They hold a meeting with 2 other FBI agents, Krupp and Marquand, to discuss the progress of the Baltimore case. During the meeting, Krupp suggests bringing in an agent from another division named Frank Graber to assist with the investigation, but Lamarck rejects the proposal, convinced that the incident is not related to terrorism. Marquand then proposes that the shooter may be using an old military weapon known as the XM-21, a rifle that was only used during wartime in the 1970s. Jack adds that military weapons like that are usually recalled and destroyed by the Army, so they cannot circulate among the public or be misused.
Is their money set on an XM-21 sniper system?
Not Frank Graber. Not DC. Have you been talking to counterterrorism?
No, sir. Long
story short, Lamarck, Jack, and Eleanor go to the morgue to search for additional clues, where they discover that the killer was able to take each victim's life with a single shot, proving that the perpetrator is far from an ordinary criminal.
Different genders, different races. Planned or spontaneous?
Spontaneous.
We just blindly follow the same patterns.
Not long after, they receive information that the Baltimore shooter has been identified and will soon be captured, although it is clear that apprehending him will not be easy. Frank, who leads the operation, is absolutely convinced that the young man they are about to arrest is the real culprit, even though Lamark tries to warn him at the scene that his assumption is completely wrong. Frank ignores the warning and immediately orders his team to move in, and sure enough, the frightened young man, overwhelmed after being surrounded by elite tactical forces, panics and jumps out of his apartment. Eleanor is unable to help because everything happens so quickly. Enraged by the outcome, Lamark states that it is impossible for such a young man to be such a skilled sniper, especially without professional military training, and his statement leaves both Frank and Jack speechless. This mistake further confirms that the real perpetrator is far more organized and dangerous, while also showing how easily authorities can make fatal decisions when acting too hastily.
Fuck up!
Come on, Lamark.
Are you gonna tell that shit to the Romanis?
The next day, Lamark, Jack, and Eleanor interrogate 3 painters who had painted an apartment unit on the 17th floor of the Redwood building 2 years earlier. One of them, a man named Rodney Lang, who arrives while taking care of his child, admits that he painted the bedroom of the apartment where the shooting occurred and that he is registered with 2 painting companies at the same time.
I just stripped the fucking place 2 years ago.
I hope you don't mind, I brought backup. I did the bedrooms, I'm sure.
Regular at Deluxe, a string of work for Ultraviolet as well.
After having dinner together at Lamarck's apartment, Lamarck confronts Eleanor about why she lied to him about her past, including the fact that she once failed the detective division exam and that her psychological evaluation labeled her as aggressive, addictive, and antisocial, as well as revealing that she previously used drugs as a coping mechanism. According to the psychologist who evaluated her, Eleanor also experienced a traumatic event at the age of 12. Lamarck then asks why Eleanor chose a career in law enforcement given her condition at the time, and Eleanor explains that she became a police officer to protect herself, showing the scars on her arm as proof that she had often hurt herself when feeling anxious and depressed. Seeing this, Lamarck tries to calm her down and explains that he never intended to offend her mental condition, but rather wanted to remind her that all her feelings and life experiences could become strengths in understanding the behavior and motives of criminals, especially the Baltimore shooter. A few days later, a man is reported to mall security after being seen washing himself at a sink in a Baltimore shopping mall. And not only that, he is also observed taking leftover food, strangely choosing only vegetables in front of many people. 2 security guards quickly approach him to search his bag, but suddenly several gunshots ring out.
What the hell's wrong with you, bro?
Where's your sense of self-respect?
Can we get someone down?
Sir, stop right there. Hold it! In the bag! Fuck!
Meanwhile, as Eleanor is researching the XM21 rifle, she receives news about the shooting at the Baltimore Mall and immediately rushes to the scene to investigate, heading straight to the mall's CCTV monitoring room. Lamarck suspects that the mysterious man seen earlier is the shooter, as he appears on camera discarding the clothes he had been wearing.
Cameras in stores, we should be able to get a 3D printout of it.
Smart enough not to leave any fingerprint. Wait, rewind that. That's his shirt.
Jack immediately heads to the restroom to retrieve the discarded clothing for further investigation, but shortly afterward he informs Lamarck that the trash bin from the restroom has already been taken away by cleaning staff. Alarmed, Lamarck urgently orders Jack and Eleanor to go to the landfill, warning that if they fail to recover the clothes, his career as an FBI agent will be at risk. Despite difficulties faced by Eleanor, Jack, and the sanitation workers, they eventually manage to locate the clothing and hand it over to Lamarck, who is under increasing pressure from his superiors to quickly identify the shooter.
And people already think you lost control.
Mentally. Idiots are unpredictable. Here, sweat.
What about prints?
In an effort to gather more leads, the government then broadcasts the mall shooting incident on television, displaying information and identifying features of the suspect so the public can recognize him and immediately report his whereabouts to the authorities if spotted. Not long after that, Marquand arrives with a list containing the names of hundreds of people who legally owned old firearms dating back more than 50 years, most of whom are retired members of the armed forces. Eleanor then assumes that it is possible for one of these retirees to have passed the weapon down to his child. Soon after, they are puzzled by a suspicious man named David, who calls a television station simply to criticize the government for its incompetence in capturing the mass shooter who has been terrorizing the public. The team quickly traces David's location, and after identifying him, Lamark, Jack, Eleanor, and their team immediately head to the site. However, during the journey, Eleanor tells Lamark that David is not the real culprit, as she believes the true killer is an introverted individual. As it turns out, she is right once again, and when they arrive, they realize they have made another mistake because David is not the shooter.
Now he's thanking the cops for protecting his kid.
Come on, man. Shit's going down after. FBI! Drop your weapon! I need you to drop the weapon and show me those hands. Fuck you! Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of this place! I need you to drop the weapon. David, drop the weapon!
Following this incident, Lamark is eventually dismissed by his superiors for failing to resolve the case and instead causing the number of victims to increase. His superiors also reveal that Lamark recruited Eleanor despite her background being deemed unsuitable, according to official records, yet he still brought her into the team to handle a major case. Even though Lamark tries to defend both himself and Eleanor, his superiors refuse to listen. Seeing her senior officer fired because of her involvement, Eleanor falls into deep depression.
We tried hard, but we got nothing.
All right, time to go home. Not in front of the kids.
However, while Eleanor is soaking in a bathtub one night, she suddenly realizes something about Rodney, questioning how he could possibly work for two painting companies at the same time. She immediately goes to Rodney's house and confronts him with her suspicions, and eventually, Rodney confesses. Rodney explains that although he is officially registered with two painting companies, due to the heavy workload, he often illegally asked someone else to complete the jobs for him. That person was Dean, who as a result had access to the 17th floor of the Redwood apartment building without anyone knowing. The puzzle begins to come together when Rodney tells Eleanor and Lamark that Dean is a vegetarian and also reveals that Dean once worked at a slaughterhouse in the southern United States.
Is how you could be in two places at once. You gave the keys to someone else to finish the bedrooms. Who the fuck did you give them to?
Taking more jobs than I can handle, calling in other guys. I only knew him as Dean. Ex-cons, guys with a record nobody would hire. He says he used to work in a slaughterhouse.
Acting quickly, they ask a sketch artist to create a composite image of Dean based on Rodney's description, then head out to various slaughterhouses to look for further clues. Eventually, a female slaughterhouse supervisor recognizes Dean. According to the information gathered from records and the supervisor's testimony, Dean had previously been imprisoned but spent less than 2 years behind bars after his father, a former army soldier, asked for help from his connections to secure his release. At this point, the remaining pieces of the puzzle fall perfectly into place. Based on everything they have uncovered, Eleanor becomes convinced that Dean is the main perpetrator, as all the weapons he used were old firearms likely inherited from his father, who had a military background. The supervisor's description of Dean also matches the shooter's behavior at the mall, particularly the fact that he is a vegetarian. After putting all the information together and reaching their conclusion, Eleanor and Lamark rush to Dean's house.
He was paroled with support letters from Colonel Leopold to head trauma, gunshots.
Upon their arrival, Dean's mother immediately senses their intentions and tells them that Dean is not at home and that she does not know where he is. However, Lamark reassures her that he wants to capture Dean alive, and the elderly woman allows them inside and begins explaining Dean's past. It is then revealed why Dean has such an introverted personality. When he was still a child, his late father accidentally shot him in the head twice, leaving him in a coma for nearly a year and causing him to develop a deep trauma toward the sound of gunfire. After the incident, Dean's behavior changed drastically, and he began to avoid crowds and withdraw from social interaction. As a result, he was frequently bullied by those around him. Seeing his son being bullied, Dean's father taught him how to shoot so he could defend himself. Unexpectedly, Dean turned out to be a natural genius with firearms, and his father later encouraged him to join the army. But Dean's introverted personality ultimately caused him to fail the selection process. When Eleanor realizes that Dean's mother is not alone in the house, a gunshot is suddenly fired from a distance and strikes Lamark, killing him instantly.
pellets got him in the head. Nearly died. Almost a year. Unfit for service.
Eleanor is immediately shocked and realizes that the shot was fired by Dean. In a state of panic, Eleanor asks Dean's mother for help, hoping she can calm Dean down and persuade him to surrender. Eleanor also asks her to take the weapon lying near Lamarck's body and force Dean to come out of the small shed. However, Eleanor never expects that the method Dean's mother chooses to force her son out is to take her own life, since Dean has refused to come out despite being called repeatedly. As expected, not long afterward, Dean finally comes out of the shed after seeing his mother dead, while still pointing his weapon at Eleanor. At that moment, Eleanor explains that she and Lamarck came because the FBI believed Eleanor's past experiences and psychological condition could help her understand the way Dean thinks. Eleanor then learns the motive behind the shootings Dean previously carried out at the Baltimore apartment, which is his hatred toward people who celebrate New Year's Eve. According to Dean, those who celebrate New Year's Eve are people who despise silence and darkness. He also explains that the mall shooting was his way of rejecting the rules of life, where people are forced to work just to survive. That is why Dean took other people's clothes and ate leftover food at the mall, because he despised the dissatisfaction and greed he saw in those around him. Dean then asks Eleanor to end his life and burn his body together with his mother. However, just as Eleanor is about to comply, the sound of police vehicles is suddenly heard. Believing that Eleanor has called the police, Dean becomes furious and immediately attacks her. Even though Eleanor explains that she was not the one who called the police, Dean is already consumed by anger and ends up executing the two officers who arrive at his house.
From the shed!
This immediately enrages Eleanor, and she desperately tries to make Dean stop his actions. Eleanor continues to pressure Dean, asking him to kill her instead, on the condition that he does not kill anyone else. But Dean refuses and walks away, leaving Eleanor alone. The police soon arrive at the location and begin searching the forest for the fleeing Dean.
And I want you to do it slowly, okay? I want you to walk out of there right now. Eleanor!
When Dean is finally found, he deliberately provokes the officers into shooting him to death. The scene then shifts as Eleanor meets with her superior, who offers to erase all the negative records from Eleanor's past. In return, the superior wants to claim all the success of the case as his own. Eleanor immediately refuses, feeling that such an action would dishonor Lamarck, the man who trusted her and sacrificed his life to solve the case. Eleanor asks that the success of the case remain associated with Lamarck's name as a form of respect, while she is willing to continue her duty without seeking any recognition. In the end, her superior agrees to her request and appoints Eleanor as a special agent, and the story comes to an end.